Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Commute Talk. Fourth one this week. We are on a roll here. So Brian writes in with a question about security, asking about security in Serenity. What do I think about that? Can I talk a little bit about that? And yes, of course, Brian. Of course I can. So let me start by saying that I am slightly ignorant about security mechanisms and software security, network security. It's not something that I ever focused on or ever worked on. It's always been in the periphery, and I know people who work on security things, and I've tried to absorb a little bit from them every now and then, but you know, you can only absorb so much if you're never getting down and dirty yourself. So with that disclaimer, bear with me while I say stupid shit. So the first thing is that right now Serenity is sort of in the stage where a lot of basic stuff is not really working yet. So it doesn't make sense to go in and sort of try to implement a very strict security model and permissions model, because things are just falling apart well enough without that. So right now I'm kind of focusing on just implementing the basic Unix super user versus everyone else model, you know, where you have the user ID 0 or root is like has all the privileges and the other users don't have all the privileges. So like right now I'm just trying to put things together and make it work with that. But then once things are a bit more steady, I think it would make sense to split the root user into like a set of smaller privileges or capabilities or whatever. You know, things like this process can mount, but it can't open a socket, and you know, things like that. And I mean, like privileged socket, raw socket. Anyway, and I think the OpenBSD Pledge syscall is something that I learned about a while ago, and I was very impressed with the idea. I think it's very elegant and simple, and just obviously a good idea. So if you're not familiar, the way that it works is that the process will tell the kernel, hey, I'm never going to do this thing again. I may have done it before, but like now I promise you I'm not going to do it again. And it's like mostly about syscalls. So like say that you open some file, and then you know that if your program continues as intended, it will never open anything ever again. Then you can tell the kernel, hey, I'm not going to open anything ever again. And then the kernel now has license to kill you if you go against what you said you would do. I mean, the kernel can always kill you, whatever reason it thinks is valid, but you're like opting into it in this case. And I think that's a really smart, proactive security measure, and something I would like to implement for Serenity as well. I also like I like sandboxing, obviously, like ch roots, that type of stuff. I like the sandboxing style that we used in WebKit, where you would have like a sandbox description file where the first thing you would say is like deny everything, and then okay, but allow this little thing and that little thing. And it would be like very, very fine little things. So like allow creating a file, but only in this directory. Or like allow opening a TCP connection on this port, but no other ports. Things like that. I think that type of stuff is really cool, especially for network-facing software. Or anything that, I guess, that takes untrusted input. It's very cool if you can proactively limit to a very, very small surface what that process is able to do. And that's something longer term I would like to do. And then, of course, like a lot of the like hardware mitigations and like typical tricks, like mutually exclusive writable executable bits on pages, and like I guess like address space layout randomization. Although I'm not sure if that's still in favor. I saw some rumors lately that it was supposedly useless or whatever, but I don't know, because I have basically meme knowledge about security or software security, so this is something I have to learn and take seriously. But I just kind of feel like the project is not really at the stage yet where this comes into focus. I'm just focusing on correctness and basic functionality right now. But at least I guess you can tell that I have sort of some idea of where it's headed. I would like to put Serenity on the internet one day, that's for sure. And I recognize that will require some amount of street smart, like I guess like internet street smart. We don't want to be falling for like these 1980s TCP spoof attacks and stuff like that, or like sequence prediction attacks, or you know, all kinds of stupid tricks that were discovered and mitigated a million years ago. We don't necessarily want to fall for those. So probably we should implement various countermeasures. And ping floods. We don't want to die if somebody sends us too many pings. But I think that when it comes to that stuff, it's mostly about like just being strong enough to stand on our own legs in the wind. At least as a first target. I want to be able to connect to the internet without like being immediately owned or DOS'd, but not necessarily like survive a targeted attack, because if somebody's pointing a gun at you, in internet security terms, like you individually specifically, then it's a whole different game. So I don't really have a big plan for that, but just like with everything else in this project, I think we can figure it out organically as we go. It's working out so far, and yeah, I guess those are some of my thoughts about security. So I hope that answers your question. I will say that I'm very happy to learn about security things, but the project is kind of at a stage where talk is very cheap. And there's not much value in like writing down these long texts about like how security should be implemented. But if you have code, then code is cash. So just something to keep in mind. Code is cash and cash is king. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, I guess. And if you have any other questions, then do come at me again. And that goes for everyone. If you have a topic or a question or something that you would like to hear about on Commute Talk, then just leave a comment below or get in touch with me in some other way, and I will happily talk about it. I'll happily talk about anything, in fact. So yeah. Now I'll just say thank you for hanging out with me on the commute, and I will see you next time. Bye.